I find it absolutely amazing that among Asian Americans, who constitute a very substantial proportion, well, depending on the school, but Asian Americans are probably the largest non-white students in American college campuses. For example, at UCLA, Asian Americans are close to 45%. That's why UCLA stands for not only University of California, Los Angeles, but United Caucasians lost among Asians. You know, that great, there's a great book, a classic, written by Audrey Li in the mid-19th century. He was a nobleman, as you know, who went around, traveling around this country, and he wrote this classic book called Democracy in America. And it's a classic book, not, by the way, I use the word classic not in the way that Mark Twain used it, a book that everybody quotes but nobody reads. It's a classic that has insights that stand the test of time. And there are two insights I will never forget in that book. What he said, what makes America special, in effect what makes America great, is not because it's so enlightened that it has no faults. It's America is prepared to look at its faults and try to address them. The second observation he made is what makes America special is that people voluntarily come together and help each other. Look at this Parent-Teachers Association. Look at all of these community service organizations in Montgomery County and elsewhere. We, as immigrants, some of you are native born, but I'm an immigrant. Many of you in this room are immigrants. America has changed us. And we are now in the process of changing America. That is what's meant by the United States being the first multicultural, multi-ethnic democracy in the world. Latino Asian. Because we spoke Chinese at home, spoke Spanish outside the home in school. So today, the only language I can speak without a trace of an accent is Spanish. Because I speak Chinese with a Spanish accent, and when I came to this country at the age of 15, because my parents by that time were political refugees, they could not come to this country. As you recall, back in those days, there was, the number of Chinese who could come to America was severely limited. So I came by myself at the age of 15. My parents gave me $300, the life savings that they had, working on a little grocery store, 10, 12 hours a day, 364 days a year. The only day off was Christmas. And they gave me their life savings and wished me well in the United States. And so, of course, I came here without knowing English, had no friends, no family, and had to learn English. So, of course, today I speak English with a mix of Chinese and Spanish accent. So I ended up in a tiny school in Iowa. I first went to the US Embassy, and there were only 2 college catalogs. One was from a school called Vassar College. So I didn't bring along my dictionary, I just wrote them a letter, and they wrote back saying, "Thank you for your interest, but we're a women's college." The second, no, there were 3 catalogs. The second catalog I found was from a school called St. Mary of the Woods in St. Mary of the Woods, Indiana. So I wrote to them, and they wrote back saying, "Well, thank you for your interest, but we're a school for nuns." And the third one was a small school in Iowa, Grinnell College, and they said, "Well, you're welcome to come. We can provide you with a partial scholarship of $500. That would pay for about 1/3 of the tuition back in those days, and a job in the kitchen of the college cafeteria, washing pots and pans 3 hours a night, 7 days a week, and you get a free meal. And you can choose what you want, so I chose dinner. And had some leftovers what I used for breakfast and lunch. It was very difficult to learn English, terribly homesick. I didn't know anybody in the middle of Iowa. Grinnell College, we called it Grim Hell because it was in the middle of a cornfield. But I also realized I had no way of going back. It was either make it or, well, I guess be kicked out and deported. And I tell you this story because people help me. Some of the most generous people on this earth I found in the Midwest of this country. I had lots of part-time jobs. One of them was washing cars on weekends. And there would be a line of cars, 10, 15 cars, and some of them were pretty clean. And I would charge $1 per car until it dawned upon me that the people were dropping off the cars to be washed just in order so I could earn some money. And I still remember, I had a C- average the first semester. I was about to flunk out because I was supposed to have a B average to keep my little scholarship. And this professor takes me to a big university in Iowa called the University of Iowa and says to me, someday you'll come here and get a PhD. And I'm saying to myself, I don't even know that I will graduate from my freshman year. But he encouraged me, and his confidence became my support. And I tell you this story because I went on to finish college, get a master's from Cornell, a PhD from the University of Michigan, but then went to Europe, to the University of Leuven, in Leuven, Belgium, where I spent 1.5 years as a graduate research fellow, and then came back to get a JD from Yale Law School. And you fast forward, and I should also tell you that my passion at that time was to go to law school. When I graduated from college, I applied to 8 different law schools in this country, and they all turned me down. That's when I decided to go to Europe. And when I came back, finished my PhD, I applied to the same law schools in this country. Every single law school admitted me 5 years later. What was the difference? My undergraduate GPA was still the same. My test scores were still the same. The difference was affirmative action had come to America. And therefore, I was admitted. So I tell you this story simply to communicate this point I made to about 4,500 freshmen every year that I welcome every fall. And my message to them is I tell them my story, not because it's of any significance beyond me, because it's really the story of the importance of education. It is the story of the opportunities that this country provides. It is about the evolution of this country to becoming more equal as it is enshrined in the founding documents of our country. It is about the promise of the American dream that, in my view, is still very much alive today. Never let where you came from determine how far you will go. So that leads me to the present, more or less to the present. I was told to share with you a little bit about my background, which is that's what I'm doing. And to fast forward a little bit, I went on to become a lawyer in New York and in San Francisco, then became a professor of law at the University of Washington. This was in the mid-70s, and amazingly, this is the mid-1970s. West of the Mississippi River, there were only 2 Asian American law professors in the whole country. I was one of them, and the other one was in, I forget where, Stanford or Berkeley. 2 west of the Mississippi River. And then I moved on to become provost, dean of the law school, provost at the University of Colorado. And I should tell you that I worked also for almost 3 years as the chief policy advisor to Gary Locke, who's Asian American, Chinese American, when he was governor of the state of Washington. And I mentioned that because we became very close. And it's one of those very interesting coincidences. He's from Seattle. He went to high school in Seattle and went to Yale for college. And he applied to University of Washington Law School for admission, and he was turned down. And later in life, when we met, I said, Gary, I also applied to University of Washington Law School, and I got turned down the first time. And here we are 30 years later. You are the governor of the state of Washington, and I'm the dean of University of Washington Law School. That can only happen in America.